friends, enemies, those as of yet undecided. Welcome back to the channel. You're watching Average Man Reviews, the show where I give my honest, unorthodox, unpaid, and unpopular opinion on a wide variety of subjects and products. Today, we have this. This, if you couldn't tell, is a replica of the Ithaca 1887 lever action shotgun, and this one shoots Nerf darts. Very cool. So, I picked this up for that's 50 US dollars on Amazon. I got it a little cheaper because I had some Amazon rewards points, so I paid like 35, but that doesn't really count because it wasn't on sale or anything. That's just points that I had. So the price is 50. Is it worth 50? I have my doubts. First of all, the build construction is not great. It is a very, very, very cheap feeling plastic. It reminds me of when you go to the flea market, there's always like a booth that's selling kids' toys that are like really cheap light up plastic guns that make noise, or like the stuff you find at like Dollar General that's 10, 15 bucks. It reminds me of that kind of quality. Like, I'm 99% sure the barrel is just a PVC pipe. I mean, this thing feels, if I drop it, I'm pretty sure something on it will break. It does not feel particularly sturdy. So, how this thing comes when you get it in the box, it comes in two pieces because the box is rather small, which gave me a little bit of a heart attack because I was worried the reason that it was lower price, I'll get to that in a second, I was worried the reason was that it was a smaller, like a 3/4 size thing, and it was gonna be like a little miniature one, like G.I. Joe sized, essentially. The reason I say lower priced, there is one of these on Amazon that is like white and blue, and it costs like 80 bucks. That one might be better, I don't know. I've had my eye on that one for a long time. I never pulled the trigger on it, so to speak. So when I saw this one just pop up for 50, 30 bucks less, I already had a discount, so I went ahead and got it. I have a feeling this is a cheap knockoff, and the other one might actually be like metal pieces, but don't quote me on that, I'm just saying. At some point I probably will buy that one and we'll have a review of it, but for right now, let's get back to this one. So like I said, it comes in two pieces. You just kind of slide it together and you run screws into a couple of different points and it holds itself together. So, what does the box come with? Actually, I haven't even mentioned the name of the blaster. I'm off of my game here. So like I said, it's an 1887. However, it's called Toy Gun Soft Bullet Shooter Outdoor Play Brown. I'm not calling it that. So for the duration of the review, I will refer to it as the 1887, unless that's a particular problem with you. No? All right. So what we get 6 of these shotgun shells. The shells are really good quality. They remind me of the DX12 shotgun pistol that I reviewed a while back. It's probably the same company. So the shotgun shells are pretty cool. It comes with 40, that's 40 darts. In order to accommodate the shell, the darts are like 3/4 size, which is kind of weird. However, that means the shells will, similar to the DX12, accept half-length darts, which is cool. So the shell and the dart go together like so. It sits in there flush. There's not a whole lot of features to talk about with this. There's not a safety, there's not anything like that. It's just, you got a lever action, you got a trigger. Simple and uncomplicated, right? Except for the complicated part of loading them in. Now, I'm really into mechanical stuff. I like gadgets and gizmos, so from a mechanical perspective, I do find this really cool. It actually functions as a shotgun. What I mean by that is the shotgun shells actually sit inside this lower barrel, and the lever action actually has a little carrier arm, which when you move it, brings it up and loads it into the chamber. Loading the shells into it is kind of a pain. So they go in here. You have to push them down. You can hear the spring screeching as I push the shells into it. Then once you get a shell in, the previous shell is pushed by the spring and it tries to come out and it bites your finger as you do it. So that's really neat. Definitely an example of the idea was there, they got it to work, but they didn't really refine it. So it is doable. It's just a bit annoying. Come on, there we go. So it fits 5 shells, and then your 6th shell, you just kind of load into the carrier arm, and then you jam the blaster with a stovepipe. Beautiful. Let's try that again. You load it into the carrier arm. Getting real tired of your nonsense. You take the shell and you load it into the carrier arm, and it loads in the first time without any incidents. So from there, ka-chow! It ejects the shells. How cool is that? Now I know the question that you have. You're saying to yourself, Average Man Reviews. It's an Ithaca 1887. That means you have to be able to one-hand prime it, right? Let's find out. Does that answer your question? So yeah, you can one-hand prime it. You can also spin prime it, which with the fact that you can one-hand prime it isn't nearly as cool, but you can. So that's pretty cool. That kind of sold me as far as not regretting purchasing it because, I mean, come on. It's pretty cool. The real question is, what sort of performance are we going to get out of it? Oh, one thing, I didn't go over all the parts. So I mentioned comes with 40 darts. It comes with a really, really, really crappy laser sight. So laser sight, you turn a little dial to turn it on. I don't even know if you can see that on camera, to be honest. Maybe if I turn it that way. It's literally a laser pointer pushed up on end in front of this little, or beneath this little piece of glass. So it just puts a laser up through the center, and then it has a crosshair etched into the glass. It's not a holographic sight. It's not anything fancy like that. It goes onto your tack rail, and there's no mechanism to lock it in place. It just slides on the tack rail. So I'm not going to be using that. Turn it off. See, I won't be using that because it's kind of silly. But without further ado, and without doing any further, let's step out to the firing line and see what kind of performance we get. Judging by the tremendously powerful pop that it gives, I think this is going to be another like 20-foot kind of performance blaster, but who knows, might surprise me. Probably won't, but we'll see. Let's find out. We are outside. I have a target set up at 20 feet. I'm going to load this thing back up and we're going to see what happens. I'm going to show you the loading procedure so you can feel my pain. So, it goes like this. Lock that back. Take the first shell. Load it in, no problem. Take the next shell, and the first shell comes back out to meet us. Load the next shell in. Next shell gets in the way. There we go. All right. And we should be good to go. Wow. Okay, so I lost one shell inside the house. So out of 5 shells, we had 1 hit on the target. I'm gonna load up again and close into 15 feet and see if that helps. So, internally not particularly great. We're going to try it again with half-length darts and see if that changes anything or if it's just bad. So, see what happens. And for reference, these are half-length darts. So they're a little bit shorter than the shell, but they fit just fine. All right, half-length darts, 15 feet. Squirrel. Wow. Okay. So half-length darts, I think, performed worse than the darts that it comes with. Do we need to shoot anymore? Or does that pretty much show you that this thing's bad? I think we have all the data that we need to determine a realistic opinion upon its performance. So let's step inside, shall we? So, after action review, what do we think? Well, it's not good. It's not good at all. That was probably one of the worst performing blasters that I've reviewed. I think we were able to get 2 hits on the target. That's from like 15 feet. That's pretty bad. So, performance-wise, it ain't there. Okay, there is no performance to speak of. It shoots like 15 feet on a good day. So what market does this fall into? I mean, it's limited capacity. It's 6 rounds in total. So it wouldn't make a very good blaster to use in games. The fact that it uses a proprietary ammunition and it accepts, but it does not acknowledge half-lengths because the half-lengths performed worse than other darts. So granted, it comes with a lot of darts, but that's your total supply. You can't, I mean, I'm being a little dramatic. You could take normal darts and cut them in half, but if you were to run this in a game, you wouldn't be able to like scavenge ammunition, right? Unless you found your own darts. So that's a little bit of a problem. We run into the classic thing of any kind of shell blaster that really cool feature, but the shells have a tendency to just hit the floor and disappear into the void, as has already happened because I'm down to 5. Just standing here when I shot it earlier, one of those shells has disappeared into the void of the garage. My point being that if you have shells, you're limited in the fact that you have to have the shells to shoot with, and you only get 6 with the blaster. I don't know if you could buy more. I'm sure somebody out there like 3D prints them or whatever, but that's a pretty big factor for making it not really a contender for any kind of shooting. As far as a kid's toy, it's a little expensive at 50 bucks. There's probably a lot of other blasters that you can get for lower price points that would be better, even in terms of just something for your kid to play around with. So the real market that I see for this is as a prop, because there's really no other 1887 replicas out there, because I've looked for them in the past. It's one of my favorite weapons. So as far as a cosplay or just a display to put on the shelf in your man cave or something like that, I mean, I don't know anybody that does stuff like that with guns. That'd be kind of weird. But yeah, it's a good wall hanger in that sense that it's a very recognizable piece of history. So if you're into stuff like that, but anyway, I wouldn't recommend that you buy it unless you're like I described, where you like to collect military historical things. You wanted to get this painted up and put it on a shelf as part of a display, or you're getting it for a costume, maybe something like that, or you just like weird gimmicky blasters. But yeah, otherwise, I wouldn't recommend this as far as being a blaster for any kind of gaming purposes. As far as modding goes, I think if you put a stronger spring in this, it would probably just explode because I don't think the plastic could handle any kind of extra stress. So it's kind of a limited market. I'm honestly, if I look at it as evaluating it for what I paid, which was 35 bucks, I don't think it would be bad at that price. At 50, I think it's a little bit too high. I would have expected either better build quality or better performance. I mean, ideally both, but at least something to make up for the price point. 50 bucks isn't a terrible price. You're not going to find a replica for a better price than that. But at its core, this is a replica. It's similar to some of the other blasters I've reviewed in that sense that it's a replica that has the capability to shoot, but that does not make it a blaster, if you follow my logic there. So, at the risk of rambling too much, I think that's a good spot to stop. So if you stuck with me to this part in the video, I appreciate your patronage. I hope to see you in the next one. And until next time, remember, stay safe. And if you can't stay safe, baby, be dangerous. Average Man Reviews, signing off.